There's something I've carried with me for a long time, something I've hidden behind busy schedules, impossible deadlines, and the constant expectation that I always have the next answer. Most people assume that when your life is filled with ambitious projects and bold ideas, there isn't room for uncertainty. They see confidence, they see headlines, they see victories and failures broadcast to the entire world. But they rarely see the quiet moments when everything slows down, when the noise disappears, and you're left alone with your thoughts. Today, I don't want to stand here as someone who has all the answers. I don't want to speak as an inventor, an entrepreneur, or a public figure. I want to speak as a person. Because before any title, before any achievement, there is still a human heart that feels excitement, fear, disappointment, and hope just like everyone else. And there comes a moment in every life when pretending to be stronger than you feel becomes more exhausting than simply telling the truth. For a long time, I convinced myself that silence was the safest choice. I believed that if I kept moving fast enough, working hard enough, and dreaming big enough, I could outrun the questions that waited for me whenever I stopped. But life has a way of catching up with you. It reminds you that there are some conversations no amount of success can replace, some words no accomplishment can speak for you, and some feelings that refuse to stay hidden forever. That is why I'm standing here now, choosing honesty over comfort. It isn't because it's easy. In fact, it may be the hardest thing I've ever done. It's much easier to explain a complex engineering problem than it is to explain what's happening inside your own heart. Machines follow the laws of physics. Human emotions don't. They surprise you. They challenge you. They force you to admit that no amount of intelligence can eliminate vulnerability. If you've ever looked at someone's life and thought they had everything figured out, let this moment remind you that appearances can be incredibly misleading. Every person you admire is fighting battles you cannot see. Every smile may hide uncertainty. Every achievement may carry sacrifices that never make the headlines. And to the one this message is truly meant for, I need you to know that what I'm about to say isn't driven by fear, regret, or obligation. It comes from the deepest place within me, the place where truth can no longer remain silent. Some secrets grow heavier with every passing day, until the only path left is to speak them aloud. So today, I choose truth over silence, because the greatest risk is not revealing your heart, but allowing it to remain unheard forever. After you choose to tell the truth, there's no point in pretending that the journey has been easier than it really was. People often look at extraordinary achievements and imagine they were built on confidence alone. They see the launches, the announcements, the breakthroughs, the moments that make headlines. What they rarely see are the countless nights when failure seemed more likely than success, when every decision carried enormous weight, and when the future of thousands of people rested on a single choice. Great dreams demand an extraordinary price. They ask for your time before they ask for your talent. They ask for your energy before they reward your effort. And sometimes, without you even realizing it, they begin asking for pieces of your personal life that you never intended to give away. There were birthdays that became conference calls, family dinners interrupted by urgent messages, quiet weekends replaced by endless meetings and impossible deadlines. The calendar kept filling up, and I kept telling myself that there would be time later, later to slow down, later to celebrate, later to be fully present. But later has a habit of staying just out of reach. The pressure isn't only about succeeding. It's about knowing that if you fail, the consequences affect far more than yourself. Employees place their trust in you. Investors believe in your vision. Customers depend on your promises. Critics wait for your mistakes. Supporters expect miracles. Every day feels like standing on a stage where millions are watching, hoping, or expecting to fall. What people call confidence is often determination wrapped around uncertainty. There were moments when I questioned every decision I made, moments when the easiest option would have been to quit, to choose a simpler life, to stop carrying responsibilities that seemed heavier each year. But giving up would have meant abandoning a future I believed was worth fighting for. Still, there's something success cannot protect you from: loneliness. You can stand in a room filled with brilliant minds and still feel completely alone. You can receive applause from millions, yet wonder whether the people closest to you truly know who you are, beneath the ambition, beneath the expectations, beneath the public image. The world celebrates the victories, but it rarely notices the invisible sacrifices behind them. It counts milestones, not missed moments. It measures achievements, not the conversations postponed, the relationships strained, or the quiet evenings that never happened because another challenge demanded attention. Looking back, I've realized that building remarkable things is deeply meaningful. But no accomplishment can hug you after a difficult day. No headline can replace genuine connection, and no breakthrough can fill the space left by the people you love. Success may change your circumstances, but it never changes the fundamental truth of what every human heart needs. That's the hidden cost of greatness. If you're not careful, you can build the future for the world while quietly drifting away from the people who make your own world worth living for. When people spend enough time watching your journey from a distance, they naturally begin to associate you with the work you do. They see the companies, the innovations, the ambitious goals, and the impossible deadlines. Eventually, the image becomes larger than the person. To many, you stop being someone with ordinary emotions and become a symbol of constant momentum, as though your life is powered by an endless source of certainty. But the truth is much simpler and much more human. Behind every bold decision is someone who has wrestled with doubt. Behind every ambitious vision is someone who has wondered whether the risk is too great. Before every breakthrough, there are countless moments of uncertainty that never appear in interviews or documentaries. Those moments happen quietly, often late at night, when there's no audience to impress and no expectations to meet except your own. People sometimes ask what it feels like to chase ideas that seem impossible. They imagine excitement, and yes, there is plenty of that. But alongside excitement lies fear. Fear of making the wrong decision, fear of letting people down, fear that the dream you've dedicated years of your life to might never become reality. Courage is not the absence of those fears. Courage is deciding they won't have the final word. What has surprised me most over the years is not how much technology can change the world, but how little it changes the things that matter most inside us. You can create machines that learn, build vehicles that travel farther, or develop systems that reshape entire industries. Yet none of those achievements eliminate the need to feel understood. None of them replace a meaningful conversation, a quiet moment with someone you trust, or the comfort of knowing that someone sees you for who you are, rather than for what you have accomplished. There are days when the public image feels like armor. It protects you from criticism, gives people confidence, and allows them to believe in the vision. But armor has a cost. Wear it long enough, and people begin to forget there's a real person underneath. Sometimes you even begin to forget it yourself. You become so focused on solving the next challenge that you neglect the questions that can't be answered with equations or engineering. The greatest discoveries in life aren't always made in laboratories or launch sites. Some are made in silence, when you finally stop trying to prove your worth and start asking what truly gives your life meaning. Those discoveries have taught me that strength is not measured by how much pressure you can endure, but by your willingness to remain authentic despite it. The world may remember the vision, but the people who truly matter will always remember the person, and that is the legacy worth protecting above all else. And that brings me to the reason I could no longer remain silent. If you've listened this far, you might have expected a revelation about technology, a hidden project, or some breakthrough waiting just beyond the horizon. After all, that's what people usually expect whenever I say I have a secret. But the truth I've been carrying has nothing to do with rockets, artificial intelligence, or the next great invention. It has everything to do with what all of those years have taught me. The greatest lesson of my life did not come from a successful launch or a company reaching impossible milestones. It came from realizing that achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing. You can accomplish things the world once believed were impossible and still discover that your heart is asking questions your career cannot answer. For years, I believed that if I kept building, kept solving problems, and kept pushing the limits of what humanity could achieve, everything else would naturally fall into place. I thought the next success would create more peace, that the next milestone would finally make enough feel like enough. But life doesn't work that way. Every summit reveals another mountain. Every victory creates another challenge. The finish line keeps moving, and if you're not careful, you spend your entire life chasing horizons while forgetting to appreciate the people walking beside you. That is the secret I've been carrying. It isn't that ambition is wrong. Ambition has the power to transform civilizations. It inspires innovation, creates opportunity, and moves the human story forward. But ambition is a tool, not a destination. If it becomes the only thing you live for, it quietly begins to replace the very relationships that give success its meaning. I've come to understand that trust is more valuable than recognition. Loyalty is more valuable than applause. A conversation filled with honesty is worth more than a room filled with admiration from strangers. Wealth can provide comfort, influence can open doors, innovation can change the future. But none of those things can replace the feeling of knowing that someone loves you not because of what you've built, but because of who you are when the work is over and the spotlight has faded. So the secret isn't hidden in a laboratory. It isn't locked inside a vault or written in a confidential document. It's a truth that has been quietly waiting in plain sight all along. The moments we often postpone, the conversations, the laughter, the forgiveness, the time spent with those we love, are not distractions from a meaningful life. They are the meaning of it. If everything I've built disappeared tomorrow, the lesson would remain unchanged. The most extraordinary future you can ever create is one where success never costs you the people who matter most, because a heart filled with love will always outlast a life filled only with achievements. And now, after everything I've shared, there's only one person I truly want to speak to. This is no longer about the world, the headlines, or the expectations that come with building extraordinary things. This is about you. For so long, I believed that the sacrifices I was making would one day make perfect sense. I told myself that every late night, every canceled plan, every moment I couldn't be fully present was part of creating a better future. I convinced myself that one day I would have enough time to make up for everything I had missed. But time doesn't wait for perfect circumstances, and love doesn't thrive on promises of someday. If there were moments when you felt like you came second to my ambitions, I want you to know that it was never because you mattered less. It was because I became so focused on carrying the weight of my responsibilities that I failed to see the weight you were quietly carrying beside me. While I was chasing distant horizons, you were standing close enough to remind me what truly mattered. And too often, I was moving too fast to notice. You celebrated victories that the world applauded, but you also witnessed the struggles no one else ever saw. You saw the exhaustion behind the confidence, the uncertainty behind the decisions, and the moments when even I questioned whether I was strong enough to continue. You stayed through conversations that never made the news, through disappointments hidden behind determined smiles, and through days when hope felt harder to hold on to than anyone realized. For that, I owe you more than gratitude. I owe you honesty. I owe you presence. I owe you the version of myself that isn't always thinking about the next challenge, the next meeting, or the next impossible goal. Because the person you deserve is not someone who simply provides for the future, but someone who is fully present in the moments that become memories. I can't rewrite the past, and I wouldn't insult either of us by pretending I can. There are missed conversations we can never have, missed sunsets we can never watch together, and moments that belong only to yesterday. But the future is different. The future is still unwritten, and every new day gives us another chance to choose each other with greater intention. So today, I make a promise, not that life will suddenly become simple or that ambition will disappear, but that I will never again allow my dreams to overshadow the people who give those dreams a reason to exist. I will listen more carefully, appreciate more deeply, and remember that the greatest partnerships are not built through perfection, but through honesty, trust, and showing up when it matters most. Because in the end, the most meaningful journey isn't measured by how far we travel, It's measured by who is still holding our hand when we finally stop running. As I bring these thoughts to a close, I hope you don't leave here thinking this story belongs only to someone who has spent a lifetime building companies or chasing impossible ideas. In truth, it belongs to anyone who has ever sacrificed today for the hope of a better tomorrow. It belongs to every parent working long hours, every student pursuing a dream, every entrepreneur taking risks, every artist perfecting a craft, and every person who has quietly convinced themselves that the people they love will always understand why they had to wait. Dreams are important. Progress matters. The future is built by people who refuse to accept that today's limits must become tomorrow's reality. Never stop imagining. Never stop creating. Never stop believing that one person can make a difference. The world moves forward because people are willing to challenge what seems impossible. But while you're reaching for the future, don't lose sight of the present. Success has a strange way of making us believe that life begins after the next promotion, the next breakthrough, the next achievement, or the next milestone. We postpone joy until everything is finally in place. We delay difficult conversations because there will always be another opportunity. We assume that the people we love will always be there, waiting patiently until our schedule becomes less demanding. Life rarely follows that plan. The moments that shape us are often the smallest ones. A conversation without distractions, a shared laugh after a difficult day, a simple message asking someone how they're doing, a quiet evening with no agenda except being together. These moments may seem ordinary while they happen, yet years later they become the memories we treasure most. If there is one lesson I hope stays with you, it is this: don't measure your life only by what you produce. Measure it by the kindness you show, the trust you earn, the people you encourage, and the relationships you protect. The greatest innovations may change the world, but compassion changes lives one person at a time. Both matter, but only one will still be warming hearts long after the applause has faded. When you leave here today, think about the person you've been meaning to call, the apology you've been postponing, the gratitude you've never spoken aloud, or the dream you've been afraid to share with someone who believes in you. Don't assume there will always be another perfect moment. Perfection is a poor substitute for presence. Build incredible things. Pursue bold ideas. Work with passion and determination. But never allow ambition to convince you that love can be scheduled for later. The future is shaped by what we create, but the meaning of that future is defined by the people we choose to cherish along the way. Because the greatest legacy any of us can leave behind is not a monument of success. It is a life that proved the highest achievement is to change the world without ever forgetting to love the people who made the journey worthwhile.